Okay, we're going to ask you about some people. And if you can tell me anything interesting about them. Magnolia
I was looking at it and I can't, very many.
Magnolia Ellis?
Just that she give treatments.
Did you ever go to her?
One time.
And what did she do?
She gave me a treatment and I went mainly to see if it was true that she could shock you when she was given a treatment. And she could.
Oh, she could. So you didn't ever go back?
No, I just went to see if she really, really shocked people.
Okay.
Everybody would say, well, when I took a treatment, I got a shock, and I didn't believe them. So I went and took a treatment.
She had a lot of people going
And
there.
it wasn't even hardly over a minute.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just,
Did you have to wait a long time to get in?
I think at one time they said she'd give 100 and some treatments in one day. But I don't know if that's true or not. But there was always a lot of people taking treatments.
Everybody knew when Magnolia was in town. Tell me what you can about Glenn Mims.
You wouldn't want to hear it.
Do you want me to move on? Well, he was what? Was he ever a mayor, or what was he?
Yeah, he was a mayor, I think. It was in the, I really didn't know hardly anything about him till 50-some, when 50-some, I went out there and I'd catch bullfrogs for him and clean them and trap minnows and everything.
Where would you do that at?
See what?
Where would you do that at?
The pond where you are now, and those ponds down that way, and then the other pond, you know, Mims Pond for fish, bullfrogs.
Did Glenn Mims own that?
And that there's not any frogs left anymore, I don't think.
What was
I
the,
don't know.
what was the biggest frog that you caught? I mean,
About a couple pounds. Big long legs. I dressed them. I dressed the legs.
are they good to eat? I mean, are frog legs?
Delicious. They're about,
I've never eaten frog legs.
they're real white meat.
And you say there's not any frogs anymore. What do you suppose happened to them?
Too much poison stuff, insecticide and stuff, I think. I don't know. Overhunted.
Yeah. Well, did Glenn Mims owned a lot of that land out there, didn't he? By the where you caught the frogs and around the lake.
But she knows more about that than I do because I never, you know, I don't really know what he had.
You just caught frogs.
That was in, I think that was in the 40s. I'm not for sure. You know, you run a thing on him, right?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
right. She knows.
What,
Okay, I'll ask her next time.
Mom, tell them about when you and Billy acquired the land where you put the corrals, because you got that from Kenneth Mims, didn't you? After Pop Mims died.
What did she say? I couldn't hear.
The land where we have the corrals nowadays, that came from Kenneth Mims,
Kenneth.
right? At 1505 Glen.
Kenneth inherited
Mm-hmm.
from his dad, Glenn.
Mm-hmm.
And how many were there
have
Mims
no idea.
kids? You have no idea how many kids he
A
had?
lot of acre, I don't know.
Well, how did you know the Mims? How did you know them?
From the marina.
From the marina, and did it have anything to do with Billy Cecil?
Yeah, he came out there when the war was over.
Right, because he
And
was
lived with Glenn.
and he was related to the Mims.
Yeah.
And who was Billy
Glenn
Cecil?
was his uncle.
And who was Billy Cecil?
Well, he happened to be my husband.
Okay.
And you had what? You had a business together. You had
That's
a
right.
business together. And what did you two do?
We had the tackle shop.
And what
We
did
sold
you
fish
do?
and tackle.
You guided on the lake, right?
She had mentioned that.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Dr. T.B. Williams. Did you know anything about him?
Not much.
You're
I
not going
really
to.
didn't.
You're not going to say he was a good doctor.
I don't know. I never
That's what most
go
people
to-
say. He was a good
I
doctor.
never did go to him. I don't know.
No.
I don't know if he was or not.
Well, he was also a mayor of the town, wasn't he?
I think so.
Yeah. And he was the founder of Williamsburg. Rosie Messenger. Do you remember Rosie Messenger?
Mm-hmm. She was my fishing partner.
Tell me a little bit about Rosie.
You know, she was a quiet person. She didn't tell me nothing about herself. All she ever told me was that they had a big bean farm up by
Moriarty?
Mountaineer.
Mountaineer?
Mountaineer. She never talked.
Well, what kind of a car did she drive? Do you remember?
Yeah, she had a Cadillac.
And it was,
Old black Cadillac, new black Cadillac.
and she was about what, 4 foot tall? She wasn't very
She
tall.
was 70-some when I was fishing with her.
She would get in that old black car and you couldn't hardly see her over the steering wheel. Is that right?
Oh,
I mean, you'd see these little white hairs sticking up, but you didn't see much of Rosie because she was so little and get in that big old black car. Grayson Carter. Do you remember Grayson Carter?
Yeah. All I know was that he shined shoes.
And
I
his
don't know
wife,
anything about him.
what was his wife's name? Rosalie?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I didn't know her.
And she worked in the bank.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
She worked in the coffee shop, didn't she?
Yes.
Was she in a coffee?
Think of a story that you can tell us about your fishing. You told us one about saving the man, which is great. Is there any other wild fish tales that are lion fish tales or whatever that you want to tell us? Can you think of one that she could tell? How has fishing changed over the years in the lakes and the river around here?
Well, let's see. In 1981, they put the stripers in, and that changed the lake. The stripers ate up crappie and different fish, except catfish. So, I mean, that's just the way I feel about it.
So that was not a good thing to have done.
No, it wasn't a good thing to do. But it got a lot of business in here for the guides.
Those stripers get huge, don't they?
The biggest one I caught weighed 33 pounds. But they're looking for a 50, 55. I think a 55 pounder, but I don't think they'll get it because the ones that they put in 1981, I think they're all gone. Because they're not catching real big ones now.
And with the city of Tiercy, how has it changed down through the years since you came here? Has it grown any?
Oh yeah, I think it has.
More people?
Too many people.
You'd rather have it back the way that it was?
Mhm. Definitely.
Any other stories or questions you want to ask?
Definitely.
Wait, don't turn it off. How many children do you have?
3.
Can you tell us who they are and what they're doing and so forth?
Delane Fletcher, my boy, born in Kansas. Sherry, born in Kansas. Vicky, born in Tennessee, Hot Springs. Yeah, well, whatever. I don't know what they called it.
What do they do now? I know your son has passed away. What does Sherry do?
Go ahead and answer it. What you do?
No, they want you to tell them. Tell them what she does.
Well, I heard today that she did a little bit of everything. That she was like a bee. That's what he said, the guy that was disappointed with the picture.
Oh, he was disappointed about the picture, so he said you were like a bee. Well, what position? She's retired now, but what position did she hold?
Well, she had the Montessori school in Las Cruces. She was at school in Array, Tier C.
And her last job was the assistant superintendent of the schools before she retired.
And then she became an author.
Oh, yes.
Don't forget.
She
the
became
name
an
of
author.
the-
She
Since
wrote a
she's-
book. So, yeah.
And then there is Vicky. What does Vicky do?
Right now, Edward Jones.
And what does she do at Edward Jones?
I don't know. They don't tell me nothing.
Oh. Well, I hear her on the radio every once in a while giving stock reports.
And what's my favorite hobby?
My favorite hobby?
My favorite hobby.
Oh, fishing.
That's right.
1 out of 2, you got to fish, huh? Well, that's pretty good. Is she a pretty good fisher person? Vicky?
Almost as good as me.
Oh, really? So she's going to carry on the, she's going to
I
carry on
never
the.
won a boat though. She won a boat
Oh, she won a boat.
in the bass tournament.
Oh, and you never won a boat?
I never won one. I had one.
Well, did you ever win anything? Well, that's not fair.
I never fished them. I never fished the tournaments. I didn't have time. Too much work.
Okay, if that's all the questions that we have, thank you for doing this, and this wasn't so bad, was it? See,
Well-
Sherry showed up.
You're welcome. I'm glad that you liked it.
I did.
And, you know,
Well, thank you.